Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Rabbi Minkus and the members of our little study group, Andrew Bassa, Gabrielle Lear, and Stephen Lowy, for their thoughts and for the chance to explore some of the themes of the holidays a little bit more closely. I had said yes to this enterprise before I really knew the brief. And so when I heard that we were to talk about Teshuvah, return, my heart sank a little, because this has always been a concept I found quite challenging. I was always wondering, am I really on the completely wrong path so that I have to make a total about turn? Or is the point maybe rather to travel better, to look less at my feet and the roots on the way, and maybe rather at the faraway mountains and the people around me, to stop for chats, to see if somebody needs help with their luggage? And what exactly is it I need to return to anyway? The confessions should give some answers, but they only help so far. Yes, asking myself as we go through them again and again, where I might have committed some version of the mistakes we collectively confess, is useful and humbling. I see things I have previously preferred to ignore. I have been cynical, stubborn, superficial, or rashly judged others. And I certainly succumb to confusion every single day. But resorting to violence, taking oppressive interest, throwing off all restraint, these ring less of a bell, probably for most of us. And anyway, the failures I really regret most years are mostly sins of omission rather than commission. Most of them come under those catch-all rubrics that open up the al-khayt, thoughtlessness and hardening of the heart. The email from a friend that remains unanswered because I am busy and will do it tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. The visit not made, all these moments where I just wasn't paying enough attention to recognize that this or that ill was not just somebody else's business, where I was too wrapped up in my everyday to stop and really look and notice. This is where I find it helpful that the holidays come as a package and that the different parts of the service speak to each other. They aren't just those collective confessions of a catalogue of transgressions against general rules, but also in the readings and prayers and the blowing of the shofar, those elements that seem much more personal, that are simply about listening up, acknowledging the situation and what it demands of one particular person in one specific moment. Over the years, different parts of the liturgy have suddenly come to the foreground for me and shown in stronger colors than others. At first, I was blown away by the powerful political poetry of Isaiah and by the beauty of the image that what we ought to be is repairers of broken lanes. But then when Moish, my husband, Benjamin's father, whom many of you will remember, fell gravely ill, a different set of themes suddenly stood out in the readings and prayers for me, of being called upon and answering or failing to answer the call. Jonah, who does not heed God's call and runs away. Abraham, who doesn't, but who we might have wished he would, and who later doesn't really live up to his words when he answers also to his frightened son, "Here I am." And I know Larry once told us that many scholars say Hineni actually doesn't mean much more than what, but the text is ours to find meaning in, so I take license to do just that. What spoke to me most strongly during a difficult time when often I wasn't sure if I was doing the right thing, if I was up to all of this, was in particular the Hineni prayer that Rachel and Jonathan sing so hauntingly and beautifully. Here I am, impoverished in deeds and merit, but nevertheless, I have come before you, God, to plead on behalf of your people, Israel. A different Hineni. The Chazan isn't answering God's call, but initiating, making him or herself visible, taking on a task that they can only hope they will live up to. And ever since, I've drawn encouragement and comfort from these different versions of Hineni. The idea that you have to show up in your own life, to answer the call, even if you do not feel up to it, but also that it is okay not to feel up to it, that failure isn't the worst thing that can happen, that the point is not to be able to deal with everything, but simply to do what you can and to be fully and truly present. Shana Tova.
Thank you, Christine, and thank you to everyone who